Welcome to the Prosperity Playground, the podcast where business meets energetics, strategy meets soul, and prosperity becomes inevitable. I'm your host, Anna Lozano, mom, founder, investor, mentor, and energetics in business expert. This is your weekly activation to rewire how you think and feel about wealth, success, and personal power, because it's not about working harder, it's about regulating deeper, aligning stronger, and receiving wider. You don't hustle for your future, you calibrate to your higher self. Join me weekly for high-level conversations with the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders. True prosperity isn't just about money. It's about alignment, freedom, expansion, and embodying your worth. Welcome to the playground. Let's build your most prosperous life. Welcome back to the Prosperity Playground podcast. Today's guest is someone who has made an extraordinary impact on Canadian entrepreneurs and product-based founders everywhere. Jillian Harris is on the show. Now, before we launched Love Powered Co., we had three huge goals. One, to be on the shelves at Indigo across Canada. Two, to partner with Jillian Harris. And three, to have a successful exit. Friends, let me tell you that with a big vision, the right mindset and frequency, and of course, consistent daily action, dreams really do come true. In fall 2021, Love Powered Co. was featured in the Jilly Box with the Everything Journal, one of the most transformative moments of our brand journey. In this conversation with Jillian, we dive into the real story behind little Jilly, how she navigated self-doubt, and how the moment the Bachelor catapulted her onto a bigger stage, the founder playbook for the Jilly Box, including how to apply if it's on your vision board as a product-based entrepreneur, and the business and lifestyle systems Jillian has built to scale with intention, avoid burnout, and create lasting impact. This episode is packed with wisdom, strategy, and heart. Let's dive in with Jillian Harris. Jillian Harris, welcome to the Prosperity Playground. I am so excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here. We've been meaning to do this for a while.
Yes, and we're doing it. You are just coming off the CMAs. You're coming off a fairy tale wedding, like literally. How are you feeling?
Yeah, we're just like, it's one of those things, and I was talking to Alicia McCarville about it this weekend, where there's been some shitty years.
Yeah.
People don't see it on Instagram because that's my job. Like I've tried before, like when things are shit, you try telling people it's shit, but then, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work because people don't really feel what you're feeling. So people don't really want to hear your shit. Like they want reality, but like a different kind of reality.
Yeah.
So anyways, what I'm trying to say is that there have been some real shit years, and this year has been a great year. And it's made me very, very grateful because, there was a while there that I was like, I don't know how many more of these shit years I can handle. And so right now, my mom's doing well. She's healthy, and the wedding was a dream. And being on the front cover of Taylor Swift was so fun. And the CMA, so like, oh my gosh. And like, this sounds really weird to say, but like, the outfits have been really on point
Yes.
for like a month now. So I've been feeling like really good about that. So anyways, it's good. Like very, very trivial, very superficial to talk about the outfits, but like I've been feeling like the outfit game has been strong. So yeah, life is good. And we're going into my favorite time of year. I love spooky season. I love cozy season. I love wine, and I love having the fireplace going and making soup and all that kind of stuff. So just knock on wood that life stays I don't need a red carpet all the time. I just need everybody to be happy and healthy and some good outfits and
Oh, I got goosebumps, and I'm so happy to you share this. Like, obviously, we want to see you shining and thriving, but life is filled with contrast. And I feel like when we have the good years, it just supports us to truly anchor into the gratitude and appreciation, and really supports us in navigating this thing called life. And you're busy, you do a lot. Where I want to start with this podcast, though, is I want to know, like, the little Jill. I want to know, when you were a little girl, like, what did you dream about doing? Who did you dream about becoming?
This is funny. This reminds me of an exercise that Justin and I did with our couples therapist a few years ago, and it was insane. So basically in this exercise, I had to close my eyes and it was almost like you put me in a trance and I had to like connect with little Jilly and I had to talk to little Jilly and Justin was right beside me and I was like sobbing uncontrollably, like sobbing, like like alligator tears and I could see the like leaves, the aspen leaves like flickering in my peripheral and I was on my quad in like northern Alberta and I could smell and I was like talking to myself, like telling myself everything was gonna be okay. And I was just like Justin's here making himself breakfast. I was like, he could tell you, like I was hyperventilating. And when I came out of this exercise, it was Justin's turn to do it. And I looked at him and he's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, I'm not doing that. But like he was crying even, like he could feel the energy. Anyways, I'm also writing a memoir right now, which has like allowed me to also go back into my childhood. But as a kid, I didn't have the best confidence because I was like skinny. They used to call me like Skeletor. I know people can't say this anymore, but this is what they called me, midget, which is okay. But I was just like short and skinny, and my parents had struggled, and so they made fun of the fact that my parents were like divorced and separated, and like I was a cool kid. Like I was a cool kid. I had friends, but it was still ruthless. Like it was
Nice.
still really ruthless. And all my friends, were into basketball and volleyball, and I just felt so insecure about my physical abilities because of my size. And it just always felt like somebody in my circle, like everybody had a thing. My
Yeah.
best friend Shannon was a Highland dancer. My best friend Carissa like traveled all the time for basketball. Like everybody was just had their thing, and I just always felt like I was just floating from one thing to another and just dealing with my parents' drama and like they were broken up and they were back together. My mom's mental illness, and
Mm.
I just I always felt loved, but I always felt like maybe people felt sorry for me. Like I do remember people saying like, "Oh, poor Jill," and I was the only child. And so I don't know if I had really high hopes for myself,
Wow.
like career-wise, but I never really longed for that either. Like I just wanted stability. I just wanted stability. I wanted to like like my dream was to like get married in Peace River, Alberta, and like maybe I'd be like a teacher or a decorator, own a little store, and I would just have a husband and kids and like a house. Like a house that I could
Wow.
tidy and organize. Like that's all I really wanted. Um, and but my parents always told me like I could be whoever I wanted to be. Like even though it was a rough childhood, they gave me so much confidence, and my cousins, my aunts and uncles, and my friends gave me so much confidence. But I just didn't know what that meant. Like what would that translate into?
Right.
And I remember when everybody graduated and everybody knew what they were going to do after graduation, and I was sort of lost. I really always literally loved kids, so I thought, okay, I'll go to school to become a teacher. And I remember my best friend Shannon, her mom, like kind of like second guessing that decision. And I was like, but what do I do? Like, what do I do? And she's like, I don't know. I see you with like a briefcase. Like, you're just such a powerhouse. Like, I see you like being an entrepreneur. And I'm like, but what? Like, but what? And then there
Yeah.
were just other signs throughout my whole like teenage years and whatnot. When I got fired from Cactus Club, I remember the founder of Cactus Club sitting across the table from me, and he kind of reminded me of Mr. Burns. He was like skinny, had like long pointy fingers, and he was kind of like, and he told me that I belonged on TV. And I remember leaving that that firing and crying in my car, like screaming at the top of my lungs on the phone with my parents and being like, he said I should be on TV. Like, what the fuck? Of course I would love to be on TV, but like, how does that even happen? And so, there's just all these things in my life where I think people saw something in me, but I never saw
Yes.
it in myself. So somehow I think just being on The Bachelor and Bachelorette was just like, I don't know, the universe like pushing me onto the stage and being like, "Okay, you've got to just do this."
Yes.
So yeah, little Jilly, I think loved people and I loved being myself, but I just never knew how I could have like an impact in the world or like what I could do with that energy. So
Yes.
I really credit the people in my life, my mom and dad, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, bosses, like colleagues, friends. They're the ones that I think saw something in me and like really pushed me to do something with it.
Wow. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Like, so
Your circle's
beautiful.
important. Like, when people feel shitty about themselves,
Wow.
your circle is important because they, I think, can make or break it for you.
So important. And you have such a beautiful community, friends. Like your friendships have been so, like the
Yeah.
longevity in those friendships, your cousins are all beautiful. Tell me
Yeah.
about like that first real yes moment. Like, was it The Bachelor where it was the opportunity that felt like, holy shit, I'm onto something here?
I think so. I think it was looking back, and it's so funny because that show has like such a stigma of being like cliche and tacky and whatnot. But I like had my heart broken and been in and out of jobs and like, at one point I had a second mortgage and like couldn't afford to pay for new shoes. And I remember my mom coming to visit me at Cactus Club once and she left there crying because my shoes were falling apart. And my parents had good money. They tried to give me money, but I was like determined on doing it on my own.
Yeah.
Um, so I think when I went on the show, yeah, I think that's when I felt like, holy smokes, there is an incredible world out there of endless possibilities, and I'm getting to tap into that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think so. I think if I hadn't gone on the show, I think I would be doing well for myself. Maybe not to the same magnitude or whatever it is, like
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. I think I would have ended up as an interior designer or had a little store, or maybe I would have stayed in the restaurant industry, like something along those lines, which is all great stuff. But
Yeah.
being on The Bachelor really, I think, pushed me out of my comfort zone.
I'm sorry, like I'm getting so like emotional with you sharing this because I've told you this before, like you have such magnitude of impact on small
Aww.
businesses and like Canadian entrepreneurs. Like when we think of Jillian Harris as an entrepreneur and as a former product-based entrepreneur, is like you are the one. Like you are
Aww.
the one that supports small businesses in this country. And you sharing this story actually just for me, it's like your heart. If and I don't know you very well, but I've had an opportunity to exchange conversations with you, and you are just the kindest, the sweetest soul. And
You
I've
hear
had
that,
an
Justin?
opportunity to, spend time with Tori and Steph, and it's like it's a family thing. You girls
Yeah.
are just so kind and so big-hearted, and I feel like as I was preparing this interview, I was like, Jillian lives in connection with the spiritual law of reciprocity. And you give because you have this heart and you are placed on this stage to have this impact. And in return, it's just law that you are living the life that you get to live. And it's just so beautiful because you are, what we see on Instagram, like your heart is like 1,000 times greater than that when you truly get to meet you. So I'm just so grateful that you get to have this platform because not everyone gets like uses and leverages this platform to the impact and the support and the community endeavors like you do. So thank you. Like thank you to that first opportunity that
Yeah,
placed you on that
totally.
stage.
Totally. Yeah, no. I often think back to like that time of my life and like how life has come full circle. And I mean it's like, and of course we have so much to be grateful for, but like I said at the beginning of the interview, like it's not always
Yeah.
rainbows and butterflies. Like I think for the unforeseeable future, I'll have the things that most people just long to have, which is food in the fridge and a roof over my head and a nice warm house. Like those are the things that are really important. But I was actually telling Justin this the other day because he just had like a string of bad luck with like his car and a flight and like all these things. And he was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, maybe like I know you and I've been together for like 13 years. Maybe like my energy is like wearing off on me. What I've noticed is I'll have like this like intense energy of good luck, like the wedding and Taylor Swift and CMAs, all these good things will happen, and then all of a sudden like shit will hit the fan, and then everything will kind of unravel, and then all of a sudden it'll come back up. So, and that was sort of what my childhood was like. So I like one of the things that I think I've realized in this industry, and having to deal with like criticism and having to deal with highs and lows and business and people's opinions and whatnot and just life is that I think dealing with what I dealt with as a kid allowed me to be really, really resilient and ride the roller coaster and always just hang on and trust that there's going to be a high. The high, like you're on the loop de loop and you're like, I know there's going to be a high. And sometimes the loop de loop just keeps on going. You're like, oh, fuck, get me off this thing. But it's going to come up again. And I think that's one of the greatest, things that about my childhood that I'm grateful for is that it allowed me to just hang on through the loop.
And keep going. So
Yeah.
coming off The Bachelor, like that's when the stage was set. How, we talk about success and fame and impact and all of this. How are you internally able to hold it? Because that was something new for you. You
Oh
mentioned
yeah. No, I don't think I dealt with, I don't know, like it's kind of a blur. I kind of blacked out a
blacked
little
out.
bit. Like my best friend Shannon was like, remember when that famous football guy reached out on you on Instagram and tried to date you? And I'm like, no, I
No.
don't. It was if I named his name, you would know it. But there's so many things that happened during this time that are just like such a blur to me.
Wow.
And I think I was just like in a daze, but I dealt with it well until the like things went sour with Ed and I, and there was so much public attention, and that's when I discovered like it wasn't Reddit back then, it was called something else. It was like a forum. And so then I started to really like drink the Kool-Aid. Really started hating myself, and I did not deal with it well for the longest time. And I remember running into my friend Lynn at the mall here in Kelowna, and I remember her being like, hi, are you okay?
Oh,
And I was like, and it was because I was like 92 pounds. I was
wow.
92 pounds. I was like, I've got pictures of me where I am not well. And my parents broke down crying, and they were like, we always thought that this was a good idea, but now we're starting to think like maybe this wasn't a good idea. And I remember thinking like, I'm gonna fall apart, and I've got two choices. It's like, like you write your own adventure. I can either let this consume me and take me over, or I can do something amazing with it. And it
Wow.
took everything in my soul back then to like reach into like the depths of my soul and pull myself up and be like, you have such an amazing opportunity right now. Like, do not let your insecurities or your confidence or your heartbreak take you down, because this is not where your story ends, kind of thing.
Wow.
So yeah, and yeah, you just, it was not easy back then, like being on the front cover of magazines and what do you want to call it, paparazzi and
Yes.
forums, and then also being single and feeling like nobody wanted me, and like, yeah, it was not easy, but you just have two choices. Like, I'm either gonna fuck this up, or am I gonna do something great with this?
Wow. I think that's a huge question for everyone, because the roller coasters, the ups and downs, the contrast, all of it is going to present itself when we decide that we have a bigger vision, bigger mission, greater than ourselves. We
Yeah,
constantly have to ask ourselves this: is it going to take me out? Is this failure, this rejection, this no? Or am I going to do
yeah,
something with it and keep
totally,
going? So
totally.
for us, so I'm the former co-founder of Love Powered Co. When we launched the company, we had three huge biz goals. One was to be at Indigo across Canada. Two was to partner with Jillian Harris. Three was to have a successful exit. So dreams do become a reality when
I'm proud of you.
literally we work on our mindset, we work on our frequency, we take that inspired action every single day. So I have the product right here, fall
Yeah.
2022, the Jilly
Yes.
Box.
So it happens to still be almost everybody's favorite box.
Oh,
I think it was the journal. I think it was the journal.
the journal, it was just I can't even explain the opportunity. One, obviously, to co-create, work with your team, work with you, have your name stamp on this, but create something that really is meaningful. There's intention behind it, there's vision behind it. So the Jilly Box is, I mean, the most sought after subscription box across Canada. Tell us about the inspiration behind it, because through that, gosh, the impact, you can't account for it. Like, we can't say how many women you've impacted because it's just too big to know. But what's your inspiration behind this creation?
It how it came to be was sort of funny because so at the beginning of the influencer era, I would get sent all these packages. And it's a problem that you realize is like a good problem to have, but like actually becomes a problem is gifting packages. Like it actually is is hard to manage because you get things sometimes you don't need, or you've got doubles of things, and then you got to deal. Then you got to figure out you want to re-gift it responsibly, but then you also feel like the people are looking for a shout out, so you have to find time to do that, but that might conflict with a partnership or a brand that you have, so then it sits on your back counter. I've got a whole bunch of things back there right now that I've been meaning to share, and then and then it's like the cardboard too. And so anyways, there's so many gifts that were coming, and at that time I loved it, but what I loved most about this is that I was like, it's kind of scientific testing sort of thing. The feeling when I would share an item that came from a big box brand was like, okay, I've got a free item. And then I'm going to share that with my community. What kind of impact does that have? Not really anything, just that like I got something free. But then when I would share something from a small women-owned brand, I would share it. I would get messages or emails back. I've had people say like they were allowed to quit their full-time job to pursue their side hustle. I've gotten like gifts like for like $1,000 to Quail's Gate because they're like you have no idea like thank you gifts, because people are like you crashed my website, you changed my life overnight. And that feeling, not the gifts that people were giving me, but the feeling of knowing that like I could have an impact. And I was very grateful for my life. And my mom used to say that I have survivor's guilt because whenever I would get like money or stuff, I would always give it away.
Give it away.
So she was like, you have survivor's guilt, but I did, because I felt like I had found this nugget of success in the internet, and I wanted my other people in my community, other women, other moms, to have this success. So I found if I could share their businesses, then they could also have success as well. So I really, really fell in love with that idea. But the problem is then we started doing like collabs, and then it just felt like I was launching something every week and I couldn't keep up. And I felt like my Instagram was becoming like a walking billboard, and I wasn't getting paid for those stories. And I need to make money too, and I have a team that needs to make money, and I love donating back into the community. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't be sharing these stories all the time. Like it's just too much.
Too much, yeah.
So Mindy, who doesn't work with us anymore, but I'm working on bringing her. Working on.
We worked with her.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm like, come on back to mama. And she's got an amazing thing going on right now, so maybe I'll never be able to get her back. But anyhow, what was I gonna say? We did a sponsored post with Rachel Zoe, who had a subscription box, and it was like kind of like a fashion box sort of thing.
Yes.
Anyways, Mindy was like, you should have your own subscription box, but with like your favorite small companies. And I'm like, we should just do one. Like, that's a great idea. We should just do one.
Yes.
And my agent is like an incredible businesswoman. She was like, let's make this a business, and let's like you and I be like business partners. So yeah. So anyways, I'll never forget that year. Like I shared like most people like keep all these things really close to their heart when they're starting a new business. And when I shared everything with my community, like I want to know how much they were willing to spend, like what was important to them, like took them through all the ups and downs of like launching the business. And then the business was born. And I will tell you, beginning of COVID, there was a box it was our summer box, and it had a little pink linen dress in it. And people might remember that there was some sizing discrepancies on the dress. Like some people got their dress and it was like the size, like a child's dress. Right. And that was because they were made in Italy, and the warehouse had closed down. And I think the guy in Italy was just trying to get these dresses done, and it just, shit would hit the fan at that time of our lives. And I remember being at Orchard Park Mall talking to my agent business partner, and I'm like, I'm done. This is my last box. I cannot handle this. I don't want to disappoint our customers. It is too much pressure. I cannot handle this. This is my last box. I'm done. And she was like, okay, I respect that. And I remember getting off the phone, and I'm like, fuck this. I cannot do this anymore. The box is like Russian roulette, because you're taking 10 brands, 10 products. They have to arrive at around the same time, because the box is one product that has to go out legally at a certain time, because of it's a subscription, right? Like you can't just be like, oh, it's going to come 3 months later. Like sometimes this has happened with Canada Post and whatnot, but there's been times where a product doesn't come in on time and we have to find a backup product. Or there's times where like a product, we find out halfway through packing, has bugs in it. Like, no. Like it is freaking scary. So anyways, but the high I get off of, first of all, I love getting I have like where is it? It's behind me. I got box here, box there. Like I am obsessed with the box.
Yes,
I
they're
love the
so
box.
good.
I love curating it. I love seeing how everything looks together. Like we make sure that the Pantones of this bottle matches the Pantones of the earring box, and like we like, oh my gosh, we just like absolutely love it so much. But the impact that it has with the small businesses is the funnest. And
The
now we're growing our market. Um, Please, I'm literally in the middle of yeah. Thank you.
Does Justin want to
We
come
have no
on?
office. We have no office. So, anyways, yeah. So the impact that we have is amazing. It's
Is
amazing.
tremendous. So
Yeah,
I'll
totally.
just share a little bit of behind the scenes. So when we got the yes, like we're gonna co-create this journal. I mean, it's a year-long production, right? This was like everything, the level of quality that you and your team, the standard that you hold, actually supports each small business owner to rise in their standard of quality because it's a huge collaboration. So not only, it's about, I would say, a good 7 to 8 month product development period, but then the opportunity is like 16,000 units. So that was 2022
Yeah.
when we were in, that's a huge amount of product and brand awareness for small businesses. I don't know what numbers you're at right now, but for us, like tremendous brand awareness.
Yeah,
And
it's awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it.
and it led to the support of the exit of the company. So it's all just so beautiful. Now, I do have to ask this because this podcast is for female founders. So if a female product-based founder has it on her vision board to be in the Jilly Box, what would be
Yes.
the process that you can share with us to be
Honestly,
considered?
it's actually pretty easy. It's actually pretty easy. And now that we're expanding the market, there's really something for everyone. So it's now we're at 20,000 units. So if 20,000 units is hard for you, we have a spot for you. So the first thing I'd recommend is just sending a pitch into the team at Jilly Box, and you can find there's a thing that says become a partner, become a vendor, or something like this on the website. And you literally just submit it, and then we'll ask for samples. How it works for us is so about a year and a half to 2 years before our box launches, we have like a visionary meeting. So, for example, this last box, what year? Where am I? Summer. What was the last? It was fall. Fall just went
Well,
out. Fall just went out. So like a year and a half ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I want it to be like, we struggle with fall because it launches in July. Nobody wants to think about fall. So it's like, let's do like a late summer, like canning with your grandma, like I love nostalgia. So like
yes.
old world kitchen. So anyways, we do that. And then we come up with all these ideas of these products that we want to include in the box. So then what our procurement team does is they take these businesses who have reached out to us and they're like, oh my gosh, like, okay, this is perfect. 2 ships, which is a skincare line, doesn't necessarily go with Nostalgic Kitchen, but they have a vanilla buttercream lip scrub, which ties in to the cooking and baking. And everybody loves to get a beauty product in the box. So let's reach out to them and secure that product.
Love it.
So that was an existing product, which was awesome. But then if there was something exclusive, so we ran into the folks at Danica Ceramica at the Vegas show, which is actually a Canadian brand. All my customers are like, why are you going to Vegas to do this? But there's Canadian brands that go to Vegas. So we met them there and I'm like, I want to create my own casserole dish. So we PDF'd it up. They graphicked it up. Okay, I want the scallops to be bigger. I want them to be longer. I want a quote on the inside. So then we get to actually create something specific and it's too cream. I don't like it when anything's too white. I
Yes.
like an off white. So oftentimes the team will be like, okay, the towel is in your box, but just ignore the white. We know it's too white. You're getting into the Pantone. So
Okay,
we
note to
really
the listeners, Jillian does not like very white.
yeah, I don't when it's so white, it's almost like a bluey white.
Yes.
It looks so when something comes in and I'm like, no, that's too white. So it has to be a nice, classy, timeless white. Anyhow, so yeah, we go through this process, and like you said, it's like an 8 month process. I look at the colors and the textures and the packaging, and sometimes what I love is for example, Shady Lady. When we originally started working with them, we asked them how does your product come? So all their product would come in a plastic bag to protect the sunglasses. But I don't want 20,000 plastic bags to then go in the garbage.
Yeah.
And I know that our customer's probably not going to dispose of them properly. So then we had to look to see okay, how can we dispose of them properly? And then we found a way for them to ship it was extra work and extra money. So we paid extra money for them to ship the glasses in a way that I no, but the 20,000 plastic bags didn't have to go in the landfill, and the glasses still would not be compromised. So these are the things behind the scenes that we talk about with our vendors. And then the vendors actually change their packaging forever, which is awesome.
Yes.
So that's something like I love about the people don't see that behind the scenes. Like, what's this made out of? And can we make it out of glass instead of plastic? Or how do people dispose of this? And really thinking about the longevity of that product.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like everything is so conscious, so intentional, and it's so beautiful. And therefore, there's longevity. Like these sell
Yeah.
out every single time you launch, and there's a reason for
I
it.
love
So,
that. I love
so
that.
good.
Yeah.
Now, our listeners are female founders in growth mode. What business advice would you have for women who, maybe they're scrappy, maybe they're startup, maybe they're bootstrapped, but they want to scale, they want that sustainability, they want longevity? What business advice do you have for these women?
Oh gosh, there's so many things I think I could say. I mean, it's hard in this world because people doubt you, and the
Yeah.
most important person that doubts you is yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really hard to drown that out. But failure is a part of the program. You have to fail in order to succeed. So when you do fail, because you will,
Yeah.
pick yourself up and laugh at yourself. I'm very self-deprecating. I'm like, oh, fuck that one up again. Like, like it's no problem. It's gonna happen, and really, really believe in yourself, believe in your business, believe in your product, and sell your product and sell like really just hang on. I am a big believer. This is like not as inspirational, but I'm a really big believer in systems and time blocking. So when we wrote the Jilly Academy, we talked about like all of these different things that you needed to do in order for your business to be sustainable and successful and for it to grow. But the list is so daunting. So I would just say like take that list and put it into your calendar and make it a repeating time block in your calendar,
Yeah.
and don't ignore it. So for me, for example, Mondays are the only day that I will do a podcast, a photo shoot, anything to do with creating content or marketing only happens on
Mondays.
Mondays. And then Tuesday, Wednesday are my meeting days. And then Thursdays I work, but nobody's allowed to contact me and there's no meetings. So that's where I just get creative. And then Fridays I don't work. And I've stuck with this schedule for like 5 years now. And I find it's kind of like, Steve Jobs only wore like a white t-shirt and black pants or whatever. He did that purposely so that he could save his brain energy and like same with our dinners. Like Mondays is usually a pasta, Tuesdays is always taco. Like I'm very, very intentional about these things so that I can save my brain capacity. When we are not really intentional with our time blocking and our calendar and like have like a really structured routine, it leaves so much space for like, fuck, I'm all over the place, you're bouncing around. And then how do you focus on your business? How do you believe in yourself and come up with new ideas and whatnot? So
That's a
and
huge
it's,
hack. I love that. What was it like before you implemented that?
I mean, insanity, but I
Yeah.
also don't remember because I was drinking like a bottle of wine a day and had like, I also said yes to too many things. Like I believed in myself a little too much, and that I was like, I want to start a foundation. I want a brick and mortar. I want a hotel. I want a clothing line. And I'm sure we could do all of those things.
Yes.
But the saying goes like you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I realized that in 2022, that I was burning myself out, and that not only was I going to suffer, but like my family was going to suffer. So
Yeah.
I had to start saying no and just being happy with just these little nuggets of success that I had, and I didn't have to take on the whole world.
Yes, that's huge. And opportunities come your way every single day. So the fact that you've implemented this and it feels good, like most importantly, it feels good to you so that you can serve from the overflow. Just diving quickly into motherhood. So Annie Leo, same age as my kiddos. I mean, motherhood just transforms absolutely everything for us. Yes, motherhood, I mean, completely transforms every single thing we do. I'm curious, like, what is your vision with the kiddos in terms of like, what do you hope that they hold near and dear in their hearts simply because they watched you show up the way that you're showing up now?
Don't cry. I just want them to love themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I just want them to be confident. And, I was talking to Alicia McCarville about this last weekend too. Like, people say you have to have a thick skin to be in this industry or even in the world, especially in this industry because there's so much criticism and, trolls and whatnot. Um, I don't like calling them trolls because they're actually just also human beings who are hurting,
Who are
right?
hurting. Yeah.
Right, like so that's not a good name to call them. But there's lots of like sometimes really shitty criticism. But I actually don't think the key to this world is having a thick skin. I think the key is actually to have a really soft skin and like love yourself so much that these kind of words and these kind of energies actually don't get to penetrate you because you just like love, that you love yourself and the people love you in your circle, that you're going to be sort of protected, and that it's just like not true. So that's the one thing that I hope my kids and our kids take away, is that you see it now, like Annie, she wanted these like cute little patent leather loafers for school, and she brought them back and said that her teacher didn't approve of them. And I was like, oh, that's weird, like they're the cutest like little loafers, like how could she not approve? So I actually went to go back into the school to talk to the teacher about like what it was, like did they have too much of a platform? And then Annie stopped me, she's like, no, 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 like we'll talk about it in the car. And it turned out that one of her little friends has a pair of shoes that are just like a little bit more rustic, and her friend complimented her on the shoes, but then she was like, oh, those are fancy shoes, but like, do they fit with the school? Like, you know what I mean? And Annie is a new student at the school.
Right.
So she really and Annie has so much confidence and such a great personality. So now she doesn't want these shoes because she feels that they're not cool, and they are cool. So I'm like, listen, I'll get you a new pair of shoes if you want to, but don't forget, like, you're a trailblazer, you're a fashionista, like, you've got good style. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because, I want them to be confident in their own decisions.
Yes.
And it's not going to be like that all the time, but, we'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll get
I
there.
feel like that's the goal. That's the goal. Our kids
Yeah.
to be free thinkers, to be confident in
Yeah.
their hearts. And I mean, leading by example really comes down to it. That's really what it is. Gosh, Jillian,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like we need part two. My final three questions. I'm going to dive into those
Yes.
two. Be mindful of your
Okay.
time.
Done.
But
Love it.
your future self. So Jillian Harris, 20 years from today, what message is she sharing with you, Jillian, today?
I kind of just hope to be like golfing with Justin and cleaning house and entertaining and being with my kids at university, and like I don't know. I think my message is don't worry too much about other people think of you along the way, because life goes by pretty
So
fast.
fast.
And don't worry about having a thick skin, just like love yourself a ton. And I guess I always try to think for me, like, what is going to be my impact at the end of the day? Like, what legacy am I going to leave behind? And I just hope that the people in my life feel loved and cherished. And I love gifting people and I love hosting people. And I guess just hope that I'm successful in that
Yeah.
still in 20 years. Yeah.
I think it's truly felt, like your kindness in your heart truly is felt. And final question, prosperity. So what's your definition of prosperity?
Oh, I think it's your people. I think it's definitely like your people and your outlook on life, whether it be mundane or hard, or, how you deal with adversity, and being able to like really cherish those like little moments, whether it be like making soup or lighting a candle, or decorating for Halloween, or whatever it might mean to you. Because regardless of who you are, if you're Jillian Harris or if you're the guy next door, there is shitty things that happen to people, and there's highs and there's lows. And I will say, like, we've gotten to experience some really awesome highs, like, oh, go to Disney World and we're on the red carpet, and those things are all really awesome and exciting, but those things aren't always sustainable. So you really have to find joy in those like little things. Like this morning, me and Leo and Churro just had like the best little like 6 a.m. snuggle, and under the blankets was so warm, and I just like holding his little back. And I just remember thinking, like, this morning, like, I'm not always gonna have this, like, I'm
Yeah.
not always gonna have this little snuggle. And those are like the most amazing things that are free.
Oh, the joy
Yeah.
in the present moment. And
Yeah.
honestly, like this summer in Kelowna just flew by. Like time
And
is
about it. Yeah.
accelerating, and it's like
Yeah.
treasuring these magic moments and being fully present. Where can we find you? You have a new children's book coming out with Justin. Where can
Yeah,
we
Justin
find everything?
wrote a children's book, and I think it comes out first week in October or second week in October. And we're going on a big tour. We're going to be in Toronto and then in Calgary. So if you're from either one of those cities, please come visit us. And of course, on Instagram. I
Love
mean,
that.
I'm there. I'm on
You're
Instagram all
on
the
there.
time.
Jillian, thank you so much for being you. Thank you for the impact that you bring to female founded businesses across Canada. You are amazing, and I'm so grateful for your time.
No problem, Anna. Thanks for being patient, for waiting for my schedule to clear up, Anna. It's such an honor. Great way to start my week.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Prosperity Playground podcast. If this convo sparked something in you, be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts so you never miss your weekly activation. If you enjoyed the conversation, please rate and review. Your feedback helps us reach more souls just like you who are ready to calibrate to their most prosperous life. Know someone who needs this frequency boost? Share the episode to Instagram and tag me @_Anna Lozano so we can grow our energetically aligned community together. And please remember, true prosperity is about alignment, freedom, expansion, and embodying your worth today. See you on the next activation.